Welcome everyone to GIS Day. Hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. And also welcome to my kitchen, which is a bit of a different place to have GIS Day than the office, but no less fun. I've always been a big fan of GIS Day, mainly because the GIS team always brought it in lots of chocolates and sweets. So in the spirit of doing things virtually, I've got that covered and recreated GIS Day at home for myself. So I'm going to be talking to you today a little bit about the Environment Data and Dashboard project. Working with environment services is a very natural fit for the GIS team. There's not really a service in the council that is more based around location and place than environment services. Pretty much all areas of the work are related to place, location. This ranges from the bin men and the routes to go and pick up bins, the street cleaning team who are doing proactive work in terms of mapping out their grass cutting routes, to the reactive work of picking up fly tips, the parking team who have routes for their enforcement officers and map out parking zones, to the enforcement teams and licensing teams who are all about understanding different premises, to the streets and traffic team who are looking after the traffic flows and the roads. All this is about location. And as a whole, the environment department is about looking after Harrow as a place. They keep our streets clean, our traffic flowing, our parks, including 5 green flag parks, usable. But one of the challenges they've always had as a department is they've been forced to work in silos. Although they all are working on services that are based on location, due to the traditional constraints of IT and the systems they work in silos. So there's very little data sharing across the different areas, and there's no one looking globally at how the service is run and how they could be run better. This has made it's been very difficult to analyse trends and patterns and link causation of events across the services. And our remit in this was to try and make this easier and join the data together. What we wanted to help the environment department create is the data intelligence to manage both day to day and to plan strategically to turn the service from something that is reactive and it's very good at being reactive to something that's proactive and that can start to anticipate demand and see trends and stop problems before they started. So how are we going to do that and how are we going to help? Well, we need to pull all the data together in one place and start to look at it by location. So we're right at the start of this project, but we do have a proof of concept which I'm going to share with you. So as you can see on my screen, we have a big map of Harrow. And down the side, we're starting to have layers of different types of information that we can plot against this map. So we'll start on HMOs. So start on late night premises. And you can start to see across the map all the late night premises mapped across the borough. You can click in, you see one of my favourites there, Kebabland on College Road, and certain details around it. Zoom in. So this is also against the GIS map in the background, so you see the location, everything, which obviously is useful to start with. Where the power of this system comes is starting to see the links between different types of data. So we will add on CCTV cameras. So we can start to see the late night premises with all the CCTV cameras across the borough mapped against them. So we can go down further. We can add in another physical location like litter bins. See, litter bins is something there's a lot of. We can start to see where they're located if we go around to Harrow Town Centre. We see the litter bins. We see the CCTV cameras and the late night premises. Move litter bins. But where it starts to become really powerful is where we're mapping real-time events, something such as fly tipping. Again, we have data on it that we pull from the system. We can start to map this against other assets like premises that have alcohol sales licenses, and you can see the details here. We can map it against licensed premises on top of that as well. And this starts to allow us to have an intelligence-led view to the links between different services. Again, we hope at the end of this project to have mapped data from the Bartek bin system, from the Avera street system, from Simology, streets management system, from our parking system, to give a really comprehensive view of all the services the environment run, both in terms of the incidents that occur, so where there's fly tipping, where there's potholes, to all the assets that we own and are responsible for the maintenance of. So we can start to look at street lights, we start to look at the street furniture, bins, etc. And we start to have a joined up view of premises as well. So we'll have records on here of alcohol licenses, betting shops, late night premises, HMOs, and we'll be able to join all this data together to start to understand what patterns and trends exist across the service. So I think you can start to see what a powerful tool this would be in running the service. But the challenge is that this starts to get very busy. And GIS isn't just about pulling this information together. It's about finding ways to make it presentable and easier to use and understand on a day-to-day basis. So the team are also pulled together what we've called the dashboard overview. Again, this is just a proof of concept to show how it would work. But this allows you to pick key indicators which were displayed on the map and start to show them in a dashboard, which makes it much easier for users to understand and drill down into them. So this dashboard here will give you information about Harrow as a whole. So the number of residential properties, commercial properties, the number of HMOs in the borough. Under here, it will give you the number of street defects reported today, which is updated 4 minutes ago. Because I'm doing this pretty early in the morning, we've got a total of 0. We have all the street defects by type, so whether it's a pothole report, whether it's a pavement fault, we'll be able to see these updated in real time. And then for the more strategic side, to give a sense of what's here within the ward, we're starting to see the number of licensed premises, the number of late night premises, the number of betting shops, and the number of alcohol shops with alcohol sales licenses. You can see if I change the ward here as well, change the Headstone South, you start to see the data change as well. Again, as we go along, this will be customizable to enable different parts of the service to see different key information. So how are we going to do this? The first part of the project is to get all the data right. So we're working closely with the service to cleanse data, identify what data sits in systems, where the gaps are, and also working with them to identify what they want to know. Data is best used when it's answering a question. So we're working with the service to understand the questions that they want to ask. We'll then spend some time cleansing the data, making sure that it's of good enough quality, that there's not flaws in it, that it's correct and accurate. Then we'll start working on importing it into the map and starting to display it. And the final part will be building these dashboards with the different service and at different levels within the organisation, because while you can see these dashboards be very useful in the day-to-day running, they can also be adapted to have the more strategic indicators. This is all about providing the service with the tools to turn themselves into a data and intelligence-led service. So, what next? We're going to be working with the service for the next 3 or 4 months, getting this data in shape. There's one thing in particular we'd like to add, which I think will be useful across the council, is a street view element to this. We're sourcing data, video footage of cars going around the borough, whether we can get it off traffic cars, whether we can get it off bin lorries, to record monthly how the environment looks kind of physically. We spend quite a lot of time going out, inspecting premises, planning, do the same, inspecting properties. And we can see data on a map and points on a map, but actually physically seeing somewhere gives a real insight into the area and what causes particular problems. So also layered on the top of this eventually will be the camera footage of that area, recorded every month, so you can start to see the changes in it. And again, it's another layer of intelligence that will help make better decisions about the services we provide. So I hope you found that interesting and a quick insight into the Environment Data and Dashboard project. Watch this space. It genuinely is going to be very innovative and exciting, and will hopefully change the way the services run in the future. Thanks for listening, and thanks for coming into my kitchen.